What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about how Tim Hortons ruined its brand. So, to be honest, most of us Americans have never heard of Tim Hortons. But from what I understand, it's a really, really popular chain in Canada. I mean, you guys all get your coffee from there, right? Or maybe a donut or whatever. They sell a lot of things, actually, from what I understand. So it's kind of surprising for me to see a video like this about how Tim Hortons is bad or going downhill or it's not the same or since I thought this was still very popular in Canada. So today, I really want to check out this video by the Jake Standard, and it's all about the rise and now the fall of Tim Hortons. So, let's take a look.
Have you noticed something off during your recent visits at Tim Hortons?
Huh?
Maybe it's the long waits at the drive-thru, the
Oh.
odd taste of the food, the decline in cleanliness,
Oh.
or that overall sense that the magic just isn't there anymore.
Oh my gosh. I've never been to a Tim Hortons, so I didn't know the magic to begin with, you could say, but God, is it this bad? All right, Canadians out there, have you noticed this? Are you thinking about this? Or it has long lines. Isn't that a good thing? It means it's really popular. Or are they long lines because they're really inefficient and slow, scraping off the old crusty donuts from the shelf? That's what's taking so long. I don't know. But this makes it sound kind of bad.
It feels like the Tim Hortons we once loved is fading, and
Wow.
it begs the question, what went wrong? Why
Huh.
has an experience that was once so comforting and familiar now become so frustrating?
Wow.
I'm sure I am not the only one who remembers when Tim Hortons was more than just a stop for coffee. It was a warm, welcoming part of our daily routine.
Wow. Really? So Tim Hortons used to mean more? Back in the good old days. There's always the good old days. But maybe that's true in this case. I'm trying to compare Tim Hortons to something in America. Like, I understand the idea that of something like a restaurant that used to be good and now we're like, it's not the same. Like, I don't even know. Like McDonald's? McDonald's is, I don't know if that's a good example. That exists in Canada and America. Has it gone downhill? I think it's actually basically been the same for the last 30 years. So maybe a bad example. But for what's the equivalent of Tim Hortons in America? Like some people say Dunkin' Donuts. I never go to Dunkin' Donuts, and there's not that many of them. I think Tim Hortons is actually much more popular in Canada than Dunkin' Donuts in America. That's the sense I get. So I don't even, has Dunkin' Donuts gone downhill? I don't know. I don't even go there. So I don't know. But I understand the idea that Tim Hortons used to just be great and maybe you'd go inside and relax and it was friendly and quick and fresh, and now everything is terrible and the world stinks.
So, what happened? Whether you've been a loyal fan for years or are new to the brand, you've likely noticed the shift. Is it the
Okay.
result of management decisions, increased competition, or has the brand simply lost touch with what made it special?
Huh.
In this video, we'll dive into the key factors behind Tim Hortons' decline, exploring how
Wow.
corporate decisions and cost-cutting have impacted the brand's identity, the shift in customer expectations that Tim Hortons has struggled to meet, the increasing competition from other coffee chains,
Oh.
and the noticeable decline in product quality and service.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for the narrator to say what's wrong. What's the problem? It sounds like there's just problems everywhere. First and foremost, I think the most obvious one is the actual quality of the product, the food, the coffee. That's gone down. And then you can get into other things like the brand itself and the customer service or the establishments. Everything's just going downhill. That's kind of sad for me to hear. Like, I always imagined one day, like I want to try Tim Hortons one day. Like that's a goal, a mission to try Tim Hortons. I've never had it before. I was kind of excited, looking forward to that one day. And now I'm just going to be thinking like, God, is this bad or what did it taste like before in the good days?
Join me as we break down how this Canadian brand slowly but gradually lost its way.
Okay. Interesting.
Tim Hortons' story starts in 1964, when Tim Horton, a hockey player known for his grit on the ice, decided to take a shot at something completely different.
That's right. Tim Horton. I forgot he was really a guy. That's right. A hockey player. That's so cool. A hockey player made this brand? That's actually awesome.
The food business. He opened up his very first donut shop in Hamilton, Ontario.
Huh.
Tim had a simple dream: to create a cozy place where people could enjoy freshly brewed coffee and warm donuts.
Sure.
With the demands of his hockey career, he was all in on this new venture, seeing the potential for it to grow into something much bigger.
So it started as a classic coffee shop. There's lots of those in the United States. A lot of them that are just mom and pop shop, independently owned. That's how Tim Hortons started. Like there was just one location. It was just a cozy coffee shop. It's really cool that a hockey player had the business sense and wherewithal to, during his career, want to branch out from hockey and start like a business. That's really cool.
I suppose the only thing that could influence my retiring or giving up hockey would be that things are quite hectic these days, trying to combine business with hockey.
I bet you when his teammates found out, like, oh, Tim is making a coffee shop when he's supposed to be like a hockey player, I bet some of them were like, what are you doing? Some of the, hopefully some were like, good for you, Tim. Good for you. I'm sure that'll work out. Some of the hockey players must have been like, what? What are you, you're opening a coffee shop? Like, that's so random. Little did they know what he was getting onto.
And if the business that I am involved in continues as it is, I may have to consider retirement before I would like to.
That's the Tim
Wow.
Horton Donut Emporium?
Yes, Tim Horton Donuts, Ward, and it's very nice to be able to let me get a word in about it. If I may take the opportunity, I would like to...
Seems like a nice guy, by the way. I haven't really seen Tim Horton himself and speaking.
Well, heck, I'm going to anyway. I'd like to say thank you to all you nice people in the Hamilton and Burlington districts and in Galt and Brantford and Kitchener-Waterloo for enjoying my donuts.
I'd
Wow.
like to thank you for paying for our...
A few years later, in 1967, Tim realized he needed some extra help to really take things to the next level.
Oh.
That's when he teamed up with Ron Joyce, a sharp businessman with a keen eye for business opportunities.
Okay.
This partnership was a game changer for Tim Hortons. With their combined efforts, the brand started to take off, quickly
Oh.
expanding across Canada. Their
Wow.
shared vision and relentless work turned a single donut shop into a growing franchise.
So this was in the 1960s that Tim Hortons kind of started blowing up. 1960s. Okay. A while ago. But, I mean, that means there's people alive today who were there, who may have gone to the first Tim Hortons, like when it opened. It's only been like 60 years in business. Wow. And so Tim Hortons started working with this other guy, and it just exploded across Canada. I've done some videos in the past where I watched some of the Tim Hortons commercials and learned about the food on the menu. So this is cool, kind of seeing the story behind it, how it all happened.
In 1974, the Tim Hortons story took a heartbreaking turn. Tim Horton tragically lost his life in a car accident at just 44 years old.
No.
His death was a shock to both the company and the entire nation.
No! That is so terrible. So he was 44. in 1970. He would have been pretty old if he was alive today, but man, I, I'm I'm guessing if he could have seen how big Tim Hortons got, man, he wasn't even alive to see it all, huh? That's sad.
Wasn't just a sports hero. He was the face of a growing business that had already started to weave itself into the fabric of Canadian culture.
Right.
But despite this devastating loss, the company had to find a way to move forward, with the future of Tim Hortons hanging in the balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
After Tim's passing, Ron Joyce faced a critical decision. Understanding how important it was to keep control and continue the legacy they'd built together, he made the choice to buy out all of Tim's shares from his widow,
Wow.
Lori Horton. This move made Royce the sole owner of Tim Hortons.
Wow. No offense to Tim Horton's wife or anything, and I hope she made a lot of money from this sale, but holding on to those shares of Tim Hortons from the 1970s, like, she'd probably be like a billionaire by now, right? Or something.
Giving him the ability to guide the company through such a difficult time. While some people questioned his decision, Royce was determined to stay true to Tim's vision and push the brand even further. Royce's decision to take full ownership marked a major turning point for Tim Hortons.
Okay.
Under his leadership, the company continued to expand across Canada. Thanks to his entrepreneurial mindset and commitment to the brand's core values, Tim Hortons didn't just survive after the loss of its co-founder, it thrived.
Wow. So even after Tim Horton passed away, it just kept growing and growing. It was unstoppable at that point. Probably because of the kooky commercials with the guy with the helmet. That's why. The marketing genius. But seriously, it must have had something to do with it. I've been thinking, how common is it to see a Tim Hortons? Like, I'm trying to gauge how popular it really is. All I know is that it's very popular. It seems like every Canadian knows about Tim Hortons. So, if I talk about Dunkin' Donuts in America, there's like one Dunkin' Donuts in your town or city. Maybe there's two in a city or three. But in a town, there's only like one, maybe. I've lived in places where there were none. So, is that Tim Hortons is more popular than that? How many Tim Hortons are in a town in Canada, a city in Canada? Is it like McDonald's where with McDonald's in America, there's literally McDonald's like every 3 or 5 miles. Seriously. Is it like that or I don't know. I've just been thinking about it.
Tim Hortons' legacy lived on, not just in the name on the storefronts, but in the continued growth and success of the franchise he started a decade earlier.
Nice muffin.
In 1976, Tim Hortons introduced something that would go on to become a true fan favorite: the Timbit. These little
Timbit.
bite-sized donut holes were made from the leftover dough of regular donuts.
The Timbit. The legendary Timbit. That's right. I've heard of these. I've learned about these. I've studied these. Never had one. These are like a staple at Tim Hortons. They're donut holes. In America, we would just call these donut holes. But Timbit, I like the name. It's like a tidbit, like a tidbit, but it's a Timbit. That's very clever.
And the idea was as clever as it was delicious. Not only did it cut down on waste, but it also gave customers a new, super convenient snack option that quickly took off. Timbits
Wow.
added a fun twist to the Tim Hortons menu, perfect for folks looking for a quick treat or something easy to share. Their small size and low price made them an instant hit for families, office gatherings, and casual get-togethers.
I'm still thinking, like, in America, we have donut holes at lots of different coffee shops. That didn't mean that that coffee shop exploded in popularity. It's just kind of like, they got some donut holes. But Timbits seems to be such a huge cultural staple in Canada. Like, why did that become so famous in Canada and Tim Hortons? The name Timbits, maybe? Are they just that delicious? Are they different from our donut holes? Because there's no coffee shop in America that's known for its donut holes in the same way that Tim Hortons has Timbits.
Over time, Timbits became more than just a snack. They became a symbol of what Tim Hortons is all about.
Okay.
It wasn't just about coffee and donuts anymore. Tim Hortons had officially become the go-to spot for a little something extra.
Okay. Cool.
As Tim
Pumpkin spice ice cap. Sorry, I was distracted there.
Hortons continued to grow and innovate, 1985 introduced one of its most iconic promotions, the Roll Up the Rim to Win contest. This annual event quickly became an integral part of the Tim Hortons experience,
What is this?
forging an even stronger connection with its customers. The concept was simple, but super engaging. After finishing your coffee, you'd roll up the rim of the cup to reveal whether you'd won a prize.
Oh. Oh. That's fantastic. That's so cool. What the heck? Roll up the rim. Roll up. You literally roll up the rim of the cup? How do they do that? How do they? And there's something in there? There's something in the rim? Does it hurt you? Is it scary? Or no, it's a prize or something. That is so cool. That is brilliant. Yeah, we don't have anything like that.
From free coffee and donuts to cars and cash, the excitement of discovering what was under the rim became a ritual for many.
That is so smart. Roll up the rim to win. Oh, that is so cool. Is this promotion always running? Or you buy your coffee and then at the end you get this adrenaline jolt. You're like, what am I gonna... You're already shaking because you just chugged your coffee and you're rolling up the... Oh, it's a new car! Or just like another coffee. And then you're just stuck in a never-ending loop. You're just winning another coffee and getting another coffee and then winning another coffee from that coffee. And then you're just stuck at Tim Hortons. What a wonderful way to pass away.
More than just a marketing strategy, Roll Up the Rim fostered a deeper relationship between the brand and its customers.
Right.
Each year, the contest generated excitement, with people eagerly anticipating its return.
Oh.
It evolved into a cultural phenomenon in Canada,
Okay.
where friends and coworkers would share their wins or joke about the inevitable "please play again" message. The contest had a tremendous...
That's funny. Please play again. Oh, that'd be so annoying. So that means you win nothing? Oh, the please play again.
tremendous impact on the Tim Hortons brand. It didn't just drive foot traffic and increase sales. It also reinforced the community spirit that Tim Hortons had built over the years.
Wow.
With Roll Up the Rim,
Okay. You know what? I think, somehow we've already been going at this for a while. We still have a lot to go in this little YouTube documentary about Tim Hortons. Fantastic video so far. And I'm learning so much about Tim Hortons that I really had no idea, because here in America, we don't really have Tim Hortons. I've never seen one, never been to one. From my research, I think there are some Tim Hortons in the northern United States, like very, very, very close to Canada. There might be Tim Hortons. I don't know, like maybe in Michigan or some of those northern states. But for the most part, most Americans have never heard of this. I had never heard of it till learning about it on YouTube. And so I'm kind of catching up on what it's all about, Tim Hortons. And unfortunately, why it was great and why it might be bad. So I'm definitely going to return to this video in part 2. So if you've enjoyed this so far, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts. If you're Canadian, if you enjoy Tim Hortons, or if you hate it, feel free to leave your opinion on Tim Hortons. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, learning about Canadian culture, or if you want to see part 2 of this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.